recorded live presently. I am Ann Toth. I am also known as Key Oracle, and I am a CZT or a CZT, depending on how you say it. It is a certified Zentangle teacher. Zentangle Method is about and I thought mindfulness is a very good thing for us to do today. And I thought it. Now there are a couple of very special there who are watching, and I wanted to send you a special wave. And I am very, very pleased that you are here with us today. Thank you very much. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any ideas of things that I can do to make your time here in lockdown a little bit more fun. Now, I hear beeping and beeping, and hello, my child is here. Hello, child. You're welcome to join us. A tangling session. And it looks like my connection is a bit unstable because I am overdoing the internet. So apologies if I stream poorly. But please advise me in the comments. This is my first try, so today we're going to talk a little bit about Zentangle. We don't need a lot. What we're going to need today will be a paper, a pencil, a pen, and a little bit of patience with yourself. So, the first part about Zentangle Method is appreciating. So, taking a moment to just appreciate the world around us, the fact that we are here, we are all safe as can be, locked down and helping everybody else stay safe. I appreciate the fact that I am here and that I am at home, and I think that is awesome. So, the other thing we appreciate when we're starting Zen, in many cases, is some of the materials we work with. Now, a traditional Zentangle tile is done on a square piece of cardstock. It is made out of amazing paper. You can have a little look at zentangle.com if you'd like more information about the particular materials that you see here on the table for the Zentangle branded stuff. But you do not need to have a particular square to enjoy a moment of mindfulness. Mindfulness can be achieved being at home alone, being on a beach with a stick and drawing on the sand. You can do mindfulness anywhere you are. For me, I achieve mindfulness with a pen and a piece of paper. Now, a lot of people are a bit frightened when they see the blank sheet of paper. And the blank sheet of paper used to frighten me as well. Just like any creator, it is easy to have a moment of panic when you see that blank piece because it's your job to fill that up. It's easy to have artist block or to have a moment of panic when you're writing as well. A blank page is a blank page. Now, for me, the Zentangle method gave me a means to deal with this challenge. The blank page was too. So, the easiest way to start is to make a mark on your page. For Zentangle method, step 2, after you spend moments of appreciating in step 1, because remember we were appreciating being alive, being us, being Kiwi, whatever it is that you're appreciating. Step 2 are corner dots. 1, 2. I drew a dot in the corner of these for my English, but that means we don't have a blank sheet of paper anymore. You say that doesn't look so full, but it is not blank anymore, and it's a lot easier to get started if you have a framework. So, step 3. We've done step appreciate, step 2 corner dots, step 3 we are going to connect these dots and make a border. So that's easy, and it doesn't have to be straight. In fact, I'm going to do one squiggly, another kind of straight, and then a really goofy line. It does not need to be a straight line, and it is not meant to be done with a ruler. All right? Just connect your dots and have a moment to appreciate that, you know what? Out of 8 steps, we have already fulfilled 3. Now, I'm taking a moment to take a deep breath because I remember does not need to be fast. It's probably not mindful. Slow down. The slower you go, the more. In fact, with the Zentangle method, it's one stroke at a time. Same for the world, actually. One stroke at a time. So, with that in mind, I am going to introduce step 4, Zentangle method, which is the string. Now, for a variety of Zentangle things, we will create a little line and pencil that gives us areas to draw in, but it is not something that we are confined to. We do not have to stay inside the lines if the lines need to go outside. All right? This is whatever it is you want to make of it. This particular tile I did when I got my hair cut. I like to write on the back of the tile and say what was going on. But at any rate, you can see sort of the framework of what I was working in. And then we fill the insides of the framework with our tangles. We're going to come to that in a minute. I'm getting ahead of myself. That's step 5. But step 4 is coming up with the string. Now, we can do strings of any flavor. We don't have to use a string. Today, though, I thought we do need a string. And in the idea of be a Kiwi, work together, kia kaha, the K, I thought would be a very, very fun string for us to use today. Today, we are going to use the letter K. Now, for me, actually, I'm going to flip this upside down and show you. Oh, I'm silly. Pardon me 1 second. It's easier just to have a set of scrap paper. So if you want to get a practice piece of paper before we work on our piece of art, that is perfectly fine. Now, a capital K, you start at the top and you draw a stick. And we draw another stick starting from the other top, but it attaches to the first stick. And then somewhere along this line, we're going to pull another stick down. So this is a capital K. Now that's just one form of a capital K. There are several ways you can make a capital K. You can go and have both of them meet in the middle. So you have triangles. And look, we have spaces that are made once we make a letter K. You could make a letter K like so, And that looks really different too. There is nothing wrong. You cannot do wrong Zentangle. So whatever it is that you would like to do, if we're working together though, we are sort of basing it loosely using the letter K string. So still folks, we're using a pencil. I am using a blue one, which is actually a letter F, which some of the artists online have been saying is pretty cool, but it's not that different to an HB or a number 2 pencil, depending on where you are from the world. But this is just that little bit more fun to write with for a tip for me. I'm learning a little bit about art supplies right now while we're locked down in New Zealand. So, have you gotten ready to do a letter K on your piece of art? I'm ready to do mine because this is the next step. String. I'm going to make my letter K a little bit wonky. So here's my line down. So that's one letter. And then my letter K. Now you can see there's the letter K for kiwi, kia kaha. All kinds of good names start with K as well. Is anybody with the K? If so, please put it in the comments because that is extra cool. Cool doesn't start with a K though. English is curious. But either way, we have laid out the framework of our drawing. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 spots to fill in. Now, kiddos, kids of all ages, people, whomever is out and about, it is time to tangle. So, it's time to put the pencil away. Hard to do because a pencil is nice. Pencils have erasers. It's like really nice if life had an eraser sometimes, isn't it? But everything we do from this point forward is going to be in pen, at least for today. Now, let's pause again. And I've got my practice paper out because I need to teach you how to tangle. What is a tangle? That's a very good question. Tangles are repetitive designs. So, for example, in this particular one is called Plantom or Printemps. It depends on who you are or where you're speaking, but it is based on the French word for spring. But what's fun about tangles is they don't look like anything, all right? It is just a design made from a stroke. All of the strokes in Zentangle can be boiled down to five different strokes. If you can spell the word IXO, you can do Zentangle. But I've never heard the word IXO. Have you? I'll show you. So the first of Zentangle, or the first stroke, is a line. Ha ha ha, go fig. That's nice and straightforward. Like the pun? Right. So that's the I. And the second stroke is a dot. So already those are 2 strokes from Zentangle. Next is a curve, just like a letter C. 3 strokes. Now what happens if we make more than one curve? We end up with an S shape. Really cool, huh? So we started really straightforward, but then the last one, I'll bet you already can tell. Now, we don't call this a circle because who on the planet can draw a perfect circle? I have not met anyone who can. So I don't even call it a circle anymore. This is an orb. An orb does not have to be round. All right. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, those are all of the strokes that you need to do meditative art. In this format, it is the Zentangle Method. It was created by, and I went to a training to become a certified Zentangle teacher, because once I found and fell in love with Zentangle, I found it made a difference in my life. I find I no longer cry over spilt milk. I have actually found myself in the kitchen laughing after I spilt milk, since I have learned some of the techniques that I have from Zentangle Method. So now that we are all locked down and facing uncertainty in our future, it is a perfect moment to pause and just make sure that we're all okay. Anyway, that's me preaching for a moment. We're all in the same boat, so I guess I am preaching to the choir. Welcome back. Ha ha ha. Now, tangling. What are we going to do with these to end up with something cool, huh? That's the trick. We're going to practice Plantom. All right? Now, the middle one here looks like a spiral. Okay? And that is precisely what it is. People can draw this however they prefer. It is up to you. I often start at the outside of the spiral and I work my way in. Sometimes I like to put a nice big ball on the inside. Some people start on the inside and they spiral out. All right? Some people make them really close together, which is kind of tricky to do because you've got to fit a lot in. And some people go a different direction. Now, what happens if you run into one? We don't draw over it. We pick our pen up and we imagine our line continues to draw, even though there's already artwork. So this is the concept of drawing behind. We are going to come back to this in a little bit, but this is one of the tricks of a cool drawing, is learning to draw behind. So let's try that again. I'm going to try another one starting from the inside. So I'll start with the dot, and then we're going to wind that curve around. But whoops, I'm going to run into stuff here. So I'm just going to pretend like I'm drawing and then put my pen back down when it's time for my design or my tangle to be laid out. So does that make sense? See how this one now looks like it's on top of this bigger planton that's underneath them. Pretty fun, huh? So I imagine you guys are finished practicing doing some of these, but it's pretty natural for it to be easier one direction than another, or if it feels more comfortable to draw it either outside in or inside out. Remember, there is no wrong way of doing Zentangle. So whatever works is what we are going to do. Now, it's time to add this tangle to our masterpiece. So pick one of your spots. It doesn't matter which one. In fact, don't try to match me. We're not trying to have the same design. We are all making. So for me, I think I'm just going to pick this guy, the closest one to me. And I'm going to start by my first Plantom. Now, normally when I'm tangling, I do smaller tiles with a smaller pen. And this is great for when I need a meditative moment. However, when you are tangling on a camera, this is not that easy to see. So today's video is using a much bigger tip and a much bigger piece of paper. In fact, I'll tell you about this paper in a little bit. It's really kind of fun, this particular one. But today's approach is a little bit different than when I sit down to do tangling on my own, simply to make it easier to see for you. Not to mention, today's class is with a particular invitation to people of all ages. So as far as I'm aware, we have people from about 6 months old all the way up into their 60s watching today. For coming to visit, and we really again, this is Key Oracle in New Zealand. Lockdown again. Yay, yay. We're trying to make this fun. So today's attempt at spreading cheer and creativity is by offering a free meditative drawing session. So please share with anybody who is interested or you think that might be interested. I have this being recorded for YouTube. We have a YouTube channel and we offer creative moments and entertainment with stop motion drawing and, well, all kinds of creative stuff. But please, if there are ideas or things that you would like for us to do, we would be delighted to hear from you. And if we make a video based on your idea, I cannot wait to reach out to you to say thanks. Now, that said, if you have made it to this stream, I am so delighted. Either I know you personally or somehow the algorithm has introduced us. So hello. If you have never heard of Key Oracle, take a moment and don't forget to hit the bell if you'd like to be notified of upcoming excitement. We are planning on offering lots of entertainment over the coming weeks and have several segments planned for you. We are on Instagram. We have fallen in love with TikTok. I am embarrassed, but totally, totally addicted. So please join us on whatever platform you enjoy the best and reach out. I will happily follow you back if you follow me because I want to see the things that you do too. At any rate, back to tangling. As you can see, I get quite excited about creative endeavors. Now, I am going to continue doing my Plantom. I imagine you guys have been drawing even though I've been chit-chatting away. And remember, if your orb starting the Plantom starts to run into the other one, we don't write on top of it. We draw underneath, okay? So it's easy sometimes to just create a few big guys and fill out your space with whatever it is that you want to do. And then, let's start from the middle on this one, because I find sometimes it's easier to draw when I have a growing circle. So it's not perfect, but hang on. There is an ugly duckling stage for almost any piece of art. Now, remember how we talked about the string not being a border? It's not something that's going to cage us in. It's just sort of a gentle reminder that this zone is going to be for this particular tangle. Okay? So here's an example of how it's easy to break things up into zones. And this one, in many ways, does follow sort of staying within the lines, but I'll show you some examples over time that we definitely don't stick within the lines. In fact, I think my next one is going to exit the lines now. Okay, so I'm going to continue filling up with some because I have been doing a lot of chit-chatting. And I'm not sure if anybody is watching today, but I do know a few people are watching that have kids that have asked for this class. And I thought, well, you know what? Kids of all ages might enjoy this. Because it's not fun to be stuck at home, no matter where you are, even if you like home. Let's see. I thought I made a mistake, but it was actually a missed opportunity. There is no such thing as a mistake in Zentangle. So I'm just going to roll with it. Yes, this particular Plantom doesn't follow the rules, but nobody will notice in the end. All righty. So we'll just continue filling this up now. Oops. The one thing I can't do is keep my mouse. The darn thing keeps dropping onto the floor and I keep losing it. Okay, so we're going to go and fill that little spot in and fill in a few more. So guys, I don't know if you're ready for the next tangle, but I am about ready to do something else. Let's see. Pardon me, I do a lot of crazy noises when I draw sometimes, when I'm chatting. Obviously, I don't chit-chat and Zentangle most of the time, so this is a really new experience for me. But what I do find, and try this when you are tangling on your own, I will draw another Plantom, but I pay attention to my breathing. And it's a very meditative thing, and I inspire and expire as I draw the strokes. And the slower you go, the easier it is to manage your breathing. So and you'll find if you practice this over time, it is a short circuit right into that state of flow that artists talk about, where the art just sprinkles out of their pen or paintbrush or what have you. I'm always amazed at artists who can just create. But once I found flow, I found I could do it too. It's incredible. So one more for me. There we go. All right. So that's one section filled. Fantastic, folks. Now, all right, gang, it looks like you are ready to roll to the next one. So let's talk about another tangle. Now, remember our strokes and the concept of drawing behind? We're going to apply them to a new pattern. All right. The first one we did was called Plantom for you. That also means, but the tangles are not meant to look like anything. So I guess in a way it kind of looks like a slinky spring that's been pulled out of alignment, but I think this is probably the closest one that actually almost approximates the name. Next, we're going to do Hang on, we'll just flip. One called Hollyball. All right, so what does that look like, huh? Well, this is actually a surname. It's the last name of one of the people who is involved with Zentangle, one of the family members. And they created this tangle. For me, I think this looks a little bit like pickup sticks. So I am going to start by creating, well, whoops, that's one line. I did it twice because my pen's running out. Sorry, guys. So we've got two parallel lines like a board. All right. Now I'm going to draw another board so that they look like they're all stacked on top of one another, like so. Okay. How on earth do we do that? Well, we use that with the concept of. So we've got our first pen. And remember, I can't write over that piece. So I'm going to jump over it with my pen. I'll leave the pencil here so you get the idea. All right, kiddos? Now we're going to draw to the line and then pick up our pen and pretend that we're drawing and continue that line. So you can see that we're starting the underneath pen without drawing on the top one. That's pretty tricky stuff, isn't it? Okay, I'll do that again. We'll put the pen here because we're going to show drawing this line. And remember that we're going to jump over the blue stick with our pen. All right, kids? So we're going to draw to the line and then jump over the stick and back. And look, it looks like the plus. Neat, huh? Now, what if we want to put another one? Let's put another one going up and down this way. So again, we don't want to write on these guys, do we? So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to jump over and pretend that we're drawing behind the thing that's already there. Et voila. Now, I'm going to show you a fun little technique. We're not going to do this on our piece of art today because this is a little bit of a meditative drawing, not a complete Zentangle session. But if you want to make it look a little bit more real, just put a little bit of outline on the outside edges. And it makes it look like a shadow on the underneath sticks. And it makes it seem even more 3D. Cool, huh? Remember, don't write on top of it if you need to draw behind. That is important. But even the most advanced artists make mistakes from time to time. But remembering, there is no such a thing as a mistake in Zentangle. It is a opportunity. So if you draw something that you don't quite mean to, it may be an opportunity to explore, and you could be impressed with something that you turn up with. In fact, I posted one today on Instagram that started with a mistake, I thought. But I went ahead and had a play with it, and now it's part of my favorite part of this tile. Yes, Zentangle is not normally in color, but I thought, you know what? We're going to have fun no matter what. This particular tile was done in lockdown last year. There was a group of people on Instagram who were giving free classes, and this one was by Arts Amuse. And I enjoyed it so much. It was on April 25th in 2020. And the tangles in this tile are BB, Lila Beans, Cootie, and Mist. And she did a lovely class. So this session today is similar in that I'm offering some entertainment for people stuck in their homes. Hello, everybody. Stay home, be safe, but have a little fun along the way. But especially our littlies. I have a few friends who are also parents and coming up with things to do to keep the kiddos occupied is always a challenge. Now, we have just learned Hullyball. It's time to pick one of our other spots. So back to our lovely, drawing. Pardon me, folks. Don't mean to send you all around. Pick one of your other spots. It doesn't matter which one. All right. Now, I think for me, I'm going to pick the spot furthest away from where I started. And yes, move your artwork to suit your needs. I'm keeping mine still because it's easier to see on the video. But for true Zentangle, we work on a square to flick it around whenever you need to get to the right angle. It is far, far better to keep your hand in a comfortable position and redraw your strokes in a similar way than to try to move your arm around and fit it in wherever the piece of paper is sitting on your table. So, have you picked your spot? It is time for us to add some Hullyball. So, I'm grabbing my pen and I'm going to make my top boards about like so. And then let's do another one coming this way. And see, I'm starting to draw behind. There we go. Apologies. And just continue to put sticks wherever you think they belong. We're going to fill this space up. And the sticks don't have to be straight. And hang on. Remember what I said about borders? Tangling has no borders. I'm going to go right into my, whoops, there we go. So let's see here. I'm going to loosely stay in this corralled zone, but not be stuck with it. Let's see. So I'm picking my pen up as I draw past the lines that are already there so that it looks like I'm actually drawing a line that's underneath it. Okay. Moving along, and let's see, this way. And then, ooh. Whoops, this pen is definitely on its way out. Tangling with the Sharpie is a little bit odd, folks. Okay, so that is Hullyball. We have 2 more spaces left. So, next, what shall we do? We can do this without needing to get our practice paper. But since we've done practice paper on everything, let's go ahead and practice paper this one too. The next one is called Crescent Moon. This is one of my favorite tangles. I'm just going to put my edges of the zone that we're going to work on. And we draw a little sort of ladybug shape. All right. It's a partial orb and a straight line. Okay. So, and the k. So I'm going to draw a series of ladybugs. They don't have to be the same size. But also, mine are not going to be touching. All right. So I've got some on each side. And oh, let's go ahead and stick a cute one stuck here in the corner. Whoops. Ha ha ha. So, Jean, that's quite loud. Now, we're going to draw. And this is another amazing technique. What I'm doing now, it looks like I'm drawing an arc or a little rainbow part around each ladybug. Now, what we're doing here, it's called aura. And this is a magic trick. Using aura allows an artist to sort of make their design jump more and more to life. Now watch what happens as I continue with the rainbow bits. And when they start to run into each other, with it, all right? There are no wrong moves in Zentangle. And look, we got some craziness happening here. But neat, huh? So we just continue drawing round and round our ladybugs, and then the lines and the rainbows all sort of mush and stick together, and you'll be so impressed with what happens afterwards. Look at this. Whoa. It's a weird shape, but who knew that that cool as design came from a single ladybug crawling on the side of my canvas, huh? So the name of this tangle, this is another Zentangle classic, is Crescent Moon. All right, so you get the idea. You've got the crescent moon, and then you continue to aura around it. But the concept we're learning in this particular tangle is the aura, which is outlining one of your lines, or putting an aura or a sort of a spirit line that makes your artwork pop. So it is time to pick your next spot. So I think I am going to do, again, the closer one. And I like the idea of putting one of my ladybugs in a corner. Nobody puts baby in a corner, right? Okay. So I've got some ladybugs here. And we'll put another one in the corner. Actually, I'm going to stick this one to my... Now, I'm also sort of playing a little bit with my lines that were already there, and I went ahead and attached them. You do not have to do that, but I thought it might be fun for mine. Everybody's is going to be different, and that's part of the lovely fun of Zentangle and meditative drawing. It is not meant to represent anything other than peace and cheer and happiness and whatever it is that you need to communicate. So I've got my ladybugs, and we are going to go around and place an aura around each ladybug. And oh, guys, I forgot to tell you. Pause for a second. Let's talk about our ladybugs. These are blank ladybugs. Some people like to shade them in, and that looks really cool when you have them all shaded in, or some of them shaded in. Some people like to put designs in them, and some people like to leave them blank. So you have some choices on how you can create this particular tangle on your piece of work, because the sky's the limit. Well, imagination actually is open, and we look forward to seeing what you do with all of this. So for me, I might possibly fill some of them in, but it is time for aura. Aura, aura, aura. Now, I'm spending a lot of my time chit-chatting instead of drawing, but you get the idea of how straightforward the steps are, and then we can apply them easily, and you find that suddenly you're calm, you're happy, and you have a cool piece of art that you have created all by your lonesome. Or at least in today's case, all by your lonesome in community with other people from the internet. Yay! Thank you for joining us. So let's continue along. 1, 2. Now, some people, when they get stuck like this, and the crests are starting to get stuck to one another, but we have some empty gaps, you can always add another ladybug in and start over. All right, so I'm going to color these ladybugs in so you can see where they're living. They're sort of sneaking in between the auras of the other guys. But then we start again. There's one aura. And just like that rainbow approach, we can see the new ladybugs peeking out over the old ones. You can end up with some really neat techniques when you goof around with some of these tangles. There's no wrong. There's just more and more imagination and stuff to do when you play with it. So I'm going to go ahead and attach mine like so. Et voila. And let's see. I think that's pretty cool, guys. So we've done 1, 2, 3 different tangles. How's everybody feeling? Are we ready to do one last one and finish up our lovely piece of art? I reckon so. Now, the next one is one of my favorites. It's called floors. And it's another one that sounds a lot weird, but it's spelled a little differently. So for floors, I'm going to get my extra piece out so I can show you. A grid. So that's some lines that are facing the same direction, and then lines that are going the other direction. Now your lines don't have to be straight. I'll show you squiggly ones too. You can do that. All right. It is totally up to you. But to explain the tangle, it's a little bit of a simpler format, easier. Now, once we have this grid in Zentangle, there are all kinds of things we can do with these. Today, though, we are going to do a tangle called floors. I think it's got 2 O's. I'll double check that in a moment. But we make a little square where each of the lines meets. And we color that little square in. And then time for the next one. So just an angle, a little square. See, it's a bit like a kite. And then fill that little guy in. 1, 2, 3, 4 sides for a square. Well, I should say shape. I'm not going to use the word circle. Square is probably just as taboo. But you can see what's happening. This looks like old tiles on the kitchen floor in my apartment when I was at school. So this is a super duper fun tangle and is a great one to fill in some space if you're not sure what to do with it. As a matter of fact, I have this one drawn on my wall. I'll show you guys later. Anyway, isn't it funny to have floors on my wall? I couldn't resist. At any rate, it's time to put floors onto our drawing, and it's our last spot. Now, for me, let's see, I apologize for bouncing you guys around. It's going to go here. And there's no right, there's no wrong, but I'm going to sort of tuck my floors in and see if I can't sort of have a play with it. So here's my first one. So I'm still using the concept of drawing behind when I need to apply it. Yeah? And then next, we're going to add the crust bits of the floors. And I'm going to show an idea here so that you can see that you do not need to be perfect. All right? These are not squares. I realize that. But you'll see once we apply the technique, it's still going to be super duper fun. So I've got my grid in place, and it is time to spruce it up by focusing on each spot where the lines meet. They don't have to be perfect. They're not meant to be perfect. It is perfect because it's imperfect. That's one of the cool things about being mindful. And so we're just going to go and work this together and continue to add. And as you see, as I go through this, it is becoming more and more like what we did here. But mine are going to start drooping down here because I didn't use anything close to straight lines. I wanted wonky lines because I'm feeling a bit wonky today. I'm sure a lot of folks around me in New Zealand are feeling a bit wonky. In fact, I've noticed a lot of people around the whole world feeling wonky because New Zealand's feeling wonky. Certainly has been a different week than what I was expecting this time last week. Oh my. I don't know if you guys are aware, but we had a snap lockdown here in New Zealand. At 1 p.m. on Tuesday, it was noted that we had one single case of COVID in our community. By midnight, the entire country was locked down, and there have even been helicopters patrolling to make sure that everybody stays home. It blows my mind. I am so impressed, though, at how the Kiwis are sticking together and working together to beat this thing. So be like a Kiwi. Work together. Wear your face mask. We can get rid of this horrible disease. We showed we did it once, and now we're going to do it again. But the more people that work together, the easier it will be in the long run. Okay, folks. There we are. I have sort of filled in my entire space. Now, what comes next? Because it's not quite finished, is it? We have been working with the steps of Zentangle. Now, if you'll remember, It's a little bit like the notes of a scale. Number 1, do. We appreciated. We spent time appreciating the fact that we had art supplies, that we had a medium to meet. Number 2, once we had our art supplies, but we were faced with that blank tile, we drew corner dots. So that's step number 2. Number 3, we did the border. And then number 4, we applied our string. And we did a letter K today. So here is my K. You can sort of see it in there, but you don't see it jumping out as much. We're not going to worry about these pencil lines because they're going to fade into the background, because what we do next is so much fun. And moms, this is a little bit messy, so have fun. We're going to take that pencil again. Remember we threw it away a while ago saying we didn't need it, but I showed you a cool trick that we could do with it. We're going to apply this trick to our drawing. So let's start from number 1. Plantom. The way we are going to shade this is by making sure that we draw around. You can draw around the whole thing if you want, if it's the top one. And it's okay to draw on top of the ones that are below it, because what happens if something's over something else? It has a shadow. All right? So just like that, we have a circle. This is a little bit like a planton. But see how there's a shadow over the other ones? So right now, we're going to draw things that are a little bit like shadows. So I'm going to quickly just draw around the top ones, and they don't have to be beautiful, because what we're going to do in a minute, you'll see it all starts to pull together here soon. Okay. So many artists use a blending stump or a tortillon, which is a piece of paper that's wound tightly, a little bit like a pencil. But they use that to blend this information. Here is a tortillon, in case you're curious on what they look like. This is one that I got off of Facebook Marketplace, and it has point on both sides, which is kind of fun. But because we're doing tangling at home in lockdown, I'm not going to use that today. This is what I'm going to use, my finger. And that's why it's going to get messy, folks. Your finger can be used to smush this graphite around and make that shadow start to look more like a shadow instead of scribbles of pencil around. All right. So we don't need any special tools. Your finger is all you need to spread and blend this granite, or this graphite, so that we can make it look like it's a little bit more 3D. Now see how much of a difference it takes for the top ones, the ones that we did first, and the ones that we did the drawing behind with an extra shadow. They sort of fall into the background, and these other guys look like they pop. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, kids, let's do this to our drawing, shall we? Or wait, should I show you? Probably. I've already shown you how to do with holyball. We trace against, right next to the lines, and I go ahead and fill the whole thing up with graphite and then spread, okay? Sweet. Now, crescent moon. This one can be done a number of ways. One of my favorite ways is to just draw lines where you see things together And then when you use your blending finger, you find that these end up looking like sort of rainbows or humps. And this part here looks like it's going to be down in the shadow. All right. So I'll show you on this side of the page that approach roughly. You may want to use the side of your pencil so that you don't end up with sharp lines, because a lot of people will use a dull pencil for this particular part of the technique. Now, another thing that works for many people, if you don't have the blending stump or the tortillon or braulio, depending on who you are or what you call this, you can also use what is commonly known in these parts as an earbud, which was commonly known from previous parts as a Q-tip. So those little sticks that have a piece of fluffy bits, and you're not meant to put them in your ear, says the audiologist. Remember this. Okay. Day job. Pardon. But the perfect application of a Q-tip is to spread graphite. All right. So if you do have any Q-tips around, it is a great tool to sort of use with your artwork, because it does the trick and is a lot less messy than old Mr. Finger. Anyway, the other way you can fill crescent moon is by doing edge work. Now here, I haven't paid any attention to the tangle itself, but I put a layer of graphite along the edges. And for that, then I just smooth it in, and it looks like all of these crescent moons are sort of hiding underneath a ledge. Pretty neat, huh? So I don't know which way you'd like to do that, but you are welcome to apply either technique to your crescent moon. However, there is still one more idea. I'll try to use floors to show that one. Actually, no. The other idea for crescent moon is the opposite to this. You can shade in the middle and have it look like the middle is furthest away and the outsides are closer to you. So wherever you put your graphite, that's going to be the furthest away stuff. Okay? You're creating shadows. You're making it fall away from you by drawing on top of it. And no, you're not drawing on top of your beautiful artwork. You're just adding detail to make your beautiful artwork pop. Yeah? Now, floors. That's our last guy. There are so many fun ways to tangle this or to shade this. Again, using the edges is one idea. One thing I've seen a lot of folks do is shade each little square, but only pick one side. So, for example, like so, I've only put on the bottom L of each wee square in this row, and I'll give a quick and see how that already looks like it's not flat anymore. Cool, huh? That's such a quick trick. Just the bottom of the L makes it not flat anymore. Or just like we talked about before, if you wanted to hide underneath a ledge, you can also apply a bit more pencil to make it fall away. So let's quickly, that's not Zentangle or mindful. I am just aware that I have kept you here for a long time. Let's approach our piece of art with whatever cheer you need, and I am going to Just add a little bit of graphite around the top circles. Pardon me, I just did a taboo thing there. I called them circles. My orb-like Plantom. And it is okay to draw on top of your design because we are going to use that magic trick of smoothing the graphite in to make this really pop. Okay, so here goes. I didn't do a marvelous job of putting these together, but it doesn't matter. It's still going to look cool, and I'm enjoying myself. That's probably the number one thing, and I hope you are enjoying this too. If you have any constructive criticism or things to add, ideas you'd like to see us do, please put them in the comments or reach out to me because I am delighted to hear what you have to say. Even if it's negative, I want to know about it. And my job here is to create a little bit of fun and cheer and spread a bit of art and creativity to the world that I live in. So today is the right day for that, isn't it? So, okay. This is a really sharp pencil. Now, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to use this because I'm using the wrong kind of paper. Yours is going to look much nicer than mine because I am using a very different type of paper. I'll tell you about this paper in just a minute because it is an oddball. There are only 4 pads of this paper in the whole world, and they all live at this house. That sounds weird, huh? Like, what on earth do you have there, Anne? Well, Key Oracle has been goofing off and making stuff, and I had this set of papers made, and they are fun and awesome. But moving right along. So you get the idea of shading. I'm going to go ahead and offer the shading of the rainbow technique. That's what I'm going to call it anyway. And I know this is the ugly duckly staging for the meditative drawing. There are no errors. There's no such thing as a mistake. This is fun. I hope. It's fun for me. All right, so I'll go ahead and lay down the edges of, so you can see how the shadows would be cast from the top board here. And keep moving along and just adding a bit of pencil line to the outside edge of each of your boards. And it is okay to draw over the board that's beneath the one that you're working on. See, like so. But don't forget to jump over when your board goes underneath, because we don't want to put a pencil line across this guy. Remember, it's like there's something there and we're not going to draw on that guy. Et voila. Okay, I'm going to move my tile a little bit, my gigantus tile, to try to get to it a little bit more easily. That's part of good tangling technique, is turning your tile. I love it. They all start with T's. Turning your tile is good technique. Okay, now I'm nearly finished with that particular one. Okay, so I am just adding a little bit of fun detail for my 4th section. I hope you guys are doing all right. I haven't seen any questions, so if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to sing out. I will try to double check, but this is a first time for me to offer a tangling session online, so I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing. Please let me know what you think. I would love to offer a little bit more of these sessions over the upcoming weeks and want them to be fun and interesting for everyone. All right, so time to just take some time to finesse and make sure it's what you're after, huh? Now, one of the cool things with the Zentangle approach is it's very, very straightforward. And I find myself going through things one step at a time and going through each of the tangles in a focused way and being really pleased with my results when I stop and look back. Now, again, we are on step 7, which is shading. And we are really, really, really close. No, pardon me, this is step 6. Pardon me for getting a step ahead. Ha, ha, ha. Okay, so now the idea, I have not finished but this paper is made out of rocks. So this particular paper does not offer the lovely, smoothie, blendy bits of standard paper, but it was the right shape for us today. And even though the paper is made out of rocks and does not hold or spread pencil very well, it's really cool paper, isn't it? I love it. Made out of rocks and stones and other building leftovers. Fun paper. At any rate, once we have finished all of our shading, which is step 6, are we all at step 6? Okay, this is important. You need to take a moment and figure out which way is up. I don't know which way is up for mine. Let's see. I think for me, this way is going to be up. And we are going to sign our lovely piece of artwork. All right. I'll bet yours looks a lot better than my giant one with the permanent marker on my screen. But I'm going to sign my signature in the corner here, just like any artist signing their work. You are an artist, and what you have done with your artwork today is you have had a meditative moment, and meditative drawing can be really, really good for your blood pressure and peace and well-being. And if you can make some cool artwork along the way, then so much the better. Step 7 is initial and sign. Many times I'll write down the names of the tangles I've done on the back of the tile, the ones that we have done. So here you can see that. But today, you guys learned the 5 strokes of Zentangle. And we learned several tangles alongside. So please, if you have any questions or concerns, I want to hear all of them. This is Key Oracle coming to you live from New Zealand. We are in a brand new lockdown, and we are starting our first weekend with Tangle sessions. I am so delighted that you have come to join us. We plan to do this about this time next week, so please join us then. And the footage should be up on both YouTube and Facebook, oh, and Instagram a little bit later today. Please feel free to join our Key Oracle community, and I will happily return the follow, subscribe, or like your direction. If you want me to, please let me know. I would love to share more creativity with the world. Now, I can't do this without a special thanks to people who fund Key Oracle and give us extra support in these challenges. From the bottom of my heart to my, I so appreciate your support, and let us know if there are any things that you would like to see us do. You guys make this happen. And if you have ideas, let me know, because I want to make them happen for you. So again, thank you for coming to visit us here in lockdown in New Zealand with Key Oracle. My name is Ann Toth. I am a Zentangle certified Zentangle teacher, and I welcome community, especially in this time of being locked down in my home. So thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Kia kaha. Stay strong and stay safe, folks. Toodaloo.